Hi, everybody. This is the first in a series of videos that the Dallas International District is doing to answer your questions that you'll be sending to us on the Dallas International District. And I can't think of a better way to kick it off with our first in the series with all of the people who've been behind the scenes of the Dallas International District so that you can hear from them all that is going on and what has gone on in the past, what's happening now, and what the plans are in the future. So first, we have Lois Finkelman, who has been there from the very beginning as the council member and is now serving as chair of Friends of the Commons. So Lois, give us that backstory. Before we go forward, let's talk about how this came about and then what motivated and why you think this area of Dallas is so unique.
Thanks, Suzanne. This is indeed a unique opportunity in a unique area. Probably about 10 years ago, we had two very successful malls, Galleria on the West End and Valley View Mall at the corner of LBJ and Preston, which was undergoing some major difficulties. Malls were failing all across the country, and unfortunately, Valley View appeared to be going into that mode. And the good news is that we had some very, very long-thinking people at City Hall. Then City Council member Linda Coop, the North Dallas Chamber of Commerce, and folks at the city itself who realized that if they let things happen as they often do in the marketplace, we might well end up with scattered development, uncoordinated, off-price activities, and in that it was a perfect opportunity to take the area between the two malls, which is about 450 acres, and do a massive master plan and ultimate rezoning. The whole process took about 3 years, involved property owners, neighbors, interested citizens, multiple city departments, and was led by Councilmember Coop and the North Dallas Chamber. They came up with a very, very forward-thinking plan, something unlike anything the city of Dallas had ever seen. It's probably the largest infill area in the country, certainly in Texas and in Dallas, and an opportunity to create something that didn't exist and still doesn't exist. So we still have that opportunity, and I think that's where we are today, and that's why all of us are involved and engaged in it. The park, which was proposed from the very beginning, was a 20-acre park, iconic, signature, and a group of us had been talking about that and working at it behind the scenes with not a lot of forward progress. It was a difficult time to gain momentum. The developers who owned the Valley View Mall had run into some issues, and their process was slow to get started. In reality, the Valley View Mall is now gone, done. They are in the process of clearing away the debris and have recently announced that they will start on a project at the beginning of 2024. And we're all excited about that and looking forward to that. That's what's called the Midtown Project. And then in recent years, under the leadership of our current council member, Jaynie Schultz, who's part of this illustrious panel, the district took on a new personality and became the Dallas International District, and the park became the Dallas International Commons. And it's still somewhat of a blank slate, but that's the good news, because there are lots of positive things happening that we'll talk about later on, that are going to make this a reality and one that engages communities from all over.
Love that. That's a great history. We also have additional history on the Dallas International District website. I know people are also kind of calling this the new corner of Maine in Maine for North Texas. So Jaynie, anything else to add as far as the history? What people may not know about you is, in addition to being the council member for D11, you also served on the Planning Commission for a number of years too. So you've seen the various stages of this project along the way. So anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, when I joined the Planning Commission in 2014, both the zoning and the TIF district were brand new. So I've been there pretty much since day one. And we immediately began working with the property owners for various zoning changes within that, because as Lois referenced, this zoning is some of the most forward thinking ever in the city. And it's definitely the largest of what they call form-based code, which means it's about the theme and the public facing rather than the uses. We're not as concerned about the uses because we know it's going to be a vibrant area. It's more about how do we create a place here? How can we use the land to make this the best possible place for everyone there? And then in addition, very early on, our North Central Texas Council of Governments joined us in saying, could this place, because it's already so forward thinking with the Central Park and with the zoning, be a transportation innovation zone? And so we've been working with them to put in an automated transportation system, which will be elevated and use different kind of test models of technology, as well as pods that are going to go through the neighborhood and take people where they need to go. So it's really been forward thinking from the beginning. And in some ways, that's what makes this so much different than any other development in all of North Texas.
Yes, stay tuned for a future series where we're going to be talking through that with Gus and Linda Coop and hopefully Michael Morris, because I think there's a lot of exciting plans as far as thinking about this for almost, when I think about the television show The Jetsons, I almost feel like The Jetsons is coming to Dallas in this area. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where that's going. So Arun, I know you have also been part of this community for a long time and have been part of the fabric of Dallas. And so you saw the existing plans and were part of the conversation at City Hall saying, you know what, other cities are starting to put together international districts. And you know, Dallas, we like to be bigger and better. And so we decided to firmly stamp this area as the Dallas International District. Tell us why that conversation and that designation is so important, not only as a global city, but also in international circles.
Thank you, Suzanne. First of all, I'm so grateful to be in this frame with two icons of the city like Jaynie and Lois. I remember when Jaynie became the councilwoman, I think within first week, she called me, Arun, one of my priorities is this Dallas International District. And that was really actually music to my ears. Being an immigrant and who came to this city in 90s, I have seen a sea change of difference, how Dallas has become really evolved into a global city. We have more foreign-born citizens coming to this city, more than New York, more than Chicago, more than California. And that truly shows, number of reasons. Our airport supports that. And, Texas is leading in economic development. And guess who is leading, who is making that lead happen? City of Dallas and Dallas-Fort Worth area. And that's bringing this global influx we have. So, it's high time if city has an art district, if city has a design district, and if we are calling ourselves as a sports city, we really need international district to show the future where we go. And mayor showed his priority when he immediately, I think when he became the mayor within the first year, to find an international advisory committee led by Ambassador Gene Phillips and icons like Ron Kirk and Richard Fisher on that. And we have seen more international head of states. Every other day I see City Hall, we have some international visitors. In our parks, we had visitors from Japan, so really what I'm trying to say, this is where city is heading, and Dallas International is really needed. We are going to become top 3 cities, but in international global ranking within the cities, we are 54th. We can do better than that. And truly this vision, which, is now being pushed by Councilwoman Schultz and Lois, really long needed. I'm very excited to be part of it.
Yeah, I would agree. I still remember the day when I was doing kind of the strategic analysis of the mapping, and I saw that when you mapped all the international communities, that the Valley View Galleria area was the nexus of all of that. the X marks the spot. And so to your point, Arun, this really is going to be kind of a centerpiece for the North Texas area and kind of our regional expression of why this is so important to us. From a quality of life perspective, economic development, and is really going to, I think, reposition us as a global city. So I'm taking on that number 54, and I'm going to move us up until we're to the very top as far as being a global city. Fantastic. So Lois, Jaynie, anything else to add on the international angle and why that has been so important in kind of repositioning this area?
The only thing that I would add to that is having the support of the most powerful people in the region, people who hold the positions such as the mayor and Arun at, in the top of their, in the top, support this and call this a high priority on their agenda is really, really important in terms of the international business community and the cultural and national communities, the various chambers of commerce, things like that, to understand that we are taking this seriously and that we want them to be fully integrated into the city.
Fantastic. Lois, anything from your perspective?
I think the one thing that I would probably add here is that while I wear the hat as the park advocate, and my goal is to make sure this park happens and that it is indeed iconic, the reality of it is that the park is an anchor to a much larger vision. And it's an economic vision that can't happen anyplace else in the city, because the opportunity doesn't exist anyplace else and probably won't ever again.
That's right.
So this is not only a fabulous park project, but it is an even more fabulous economic development opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah, I oftentimes joke that, when this comes to fruition, 5, 6, 7 years from now, I want when the Dallas Cowboys play for some of the iconic elements of the park to be some of the things we show. So in addition to the robot, in addition to Reunion Tower, and some of the things that we think about, I want people, when they think of Dallas, for them to see these elements and almost kind of reposition Dallas in people's minds, that we are about cowboy boots and we love our country music, but there's so much more to us than just that. And with our counterparts, with our counterparts in Fort Worth and Dallas, in Arlington, and other people who are also repositioning around international, that this region really moves forward. So great. Well, Jaynie, I know one of the things you're known for is getting things done. And within your first 2 years, you've gotten a lot done in the Dallas International District. So why don't you talk through some of the wins that we've already had and kind of talk about where they are and kind of some of your favorites among them.
Sure, thank you. Our biggest wins since I came in 2 years ago have been the announcement of the purchase of the Dallas ISD International STEAM Academy, which will open in 2025. It's a pre-K to 12 international school that will be open to the public and open to students throughout the region. It's a choice school designed to be a recapture for the many students, particularly in North Dallas, who've chosen to send their children to private school. This will compete head on with the most successful of our private schools. Students will be trilingual. They're going to have travel experiences. We already have a very strong foundation set up for them, ready to go. So that's a huge, huge win for the district. Additionally, the construction of Montfort as a complete street with its connectivity to the Silver Line Knoll Trail Station is going to be a huge win for this being placed as you said earlier, main and main for North Texas. We also have the activation of the Prism Center, which is the first purchase of the parcels that we need for the park. And the Prism Center is an office building that will be used as an international trade hub for global chambers of commerce and other organizations. Our city manager and his team are fully on board and understand the potential of a $5 billion outcome as we invest in this as a city. I mean, the leverage point on, a few, tens of millions to get 5 billion cannot be overstated and is not available anywhere else in the city in terms of the ROI on that. I think hosting our world markets World Night Markets. The next one is September 9th, which I'm sure Suzanne, you'll mention more about that toward the end. Bringing people all over the world to shop and eat with local vendors is huge. And creating an ecosystem for entrepreneurs within the city, which we may talk about a little bit later, is also a huge priority. And then finally, I think one of the biggest wins is having our mayor fully adopt this as part of his international city strategy.
Yes, and we've already gotten other international cities that are following suit, and there's more and more international districts that are getting started. So Lois, in addition to being the former council member here, you're now chair of a new foundation called Friends of the Commons that has recently gotten started to really be the private part of getting this park going and really supporting and being cheerleaders for the district. Why don't you tell folks a bit more about that group and how they can get involved?
Friends of the Commons, which is now a 501c3 in the IRS code. So contributions to the Friends are indeed tax deductible, was formed about a year and a half ago in order to raise money and advocate for the International Commons. We are always looking for interested people. We are always looking for those who want to contribute in any way. Those contributions can be made through the Dallas International District website. There's a link there. And if one does that, or one can sign up to be on our email list, which will notify you of any of the activities going on in the district so that you can participate, bring your family and friends, or just stay at home and be aware of what's going on in the district as we move forward. We're looking forward to the actual beginning of all of these many new projects. The school is very, very important to what goes on in the future. And I think the support of City Hall, as Jaynie has indicated, and ultimately the financial support from City Hall will be critical to enabling us to go to the private philanthropic community and raise the large amount of dollars that are going to be necessary to make this park a reality.
Fantastic.
So join us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just put in a plug too that we recently put on the website an international food tour. So the Dallas International District has some of the best restaurants and they're all locally owned and just amazing food. And so go on the website. You can actually go to one every single week across the summer and still not be done. And so you might want to check that out and go to your local favorite restaurant as you're going out and about. So speaking of the Dallas International District and kind of the thing you're most looking forward to, why don't we just do a quick round robin among the panelists and say, what are you the most looking forward to in the Dallas International District? So I'm going to start with you, Arun. What's the top thing you're looking forward to?
Well, a district where, we can live, we can work, we can walk, we can dine. It's a melting pot of the global community. We are part of it, a district which reflects and embraces diversity, full of cultures, teaching us we have more in common than otherwise. Really a phenomenal place which we all can be proud of.
Yeah, I tell my students, this is going to be the place you can live in Dallas and not have a car and still get everything done that you want to do. And there's going to be so much activity. So I love that. What about you, Lois?
Then it says it should be a walkable district, and so excited about that. Yeah.
So I'm going to jump off from Arun's description and capture everything he said. I look forward to being able to sit at an outdoor cafe, sipping a glass of white wine, as I look off in the distance and see a bunch of people with their dogs, large and small, at the dog park. And to the other side of me, I see what looks like a Japanese tea garden and any number of people sitting there sipping tea and experiencing a Japanese tea ceremony. And then people riding their bikes around the park
I love
for
that.
exercise. That's
Jaynie,
fun.
what about you?
I think what I'm most excited about is the idea of the identity of the International District being fully integrated through the school. In other words, the way if you go to the Woodrow community or Lake Highlands Wildcats, like our international school and the students are fully infused into the community so that the shopkeepers know who the students are, the businesses know who they are, the restaurants, and the families are involved. And it's really its own community that welcomes people who come in to visit, but it also has this real sense of place. That's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, I know the school to me is going to be so interesting. The first vertical school in DISD history, pre-K through 12. And so it's going to be just iconic in and of itself. And I know lots of families who are really excited about it starting in 2025. So that's fantastic.
You have to give DISD credit for being forward thinking, because they really, really were thinking out of the box when they committed to doing this.
That's right.
And actually,
the fact that it's a STEAM academy too.
Yes.
And Suzanne, we should give a shout out to our new school superintendent. She has been amazing, and Jaynie can vouch to that. So she's been a great partner. Hopefully, you'll get to talk to her one of these days.
But we gave her a tour already, and she is very, very excited about the possibilities for this school, because just like we hope that it'll be a transportation innovation and a civic innovation zone, it will also be an education innovation zone as well, where she'll be able to safely test all kinds of things with all grades, because the community around her fully supports her being able to try new things.
Yeah, I love that. So Arun, I always laugh when I see you on social media, because you have a day job, but you also spend so much time at City Hall. First as a board president for the park board, and now as the bond task force chair. So I don't know how you keep track in your day job, but tell us a little bit about that and why parks are such a centerpiece of the upcoming bond.
Well, you're not the only one questioning that. My wife questions that. So, I get questioned that a lot, but yeah, no, hey, I'm fortunate to be doing and feel humble. Parks, as I learn more, people say they are quality of life. They are not only quality of life, they are public safety, they are economic development. I call parks as a church or a temple which is non-denominational, where people come with any kind of a belief. You can come just to play, you can meditate. And, we have studies which show that a dollar you put in the parks, it brings $7 back to the economy. And in trails, it's actually 1 to 20.
Wow.
And what is important, mayor has laid out, 10-minute walk is going to be so important. And in this district, you'll be surprised that only 14% of residents, they are within the 10 minutes walk. And once we have this park and this project done, close to 86% of them will be within 10 walk. So not only this is critical for this project, but it is critical to the key initiatives we put out for the city of the 10-minute walk. So really everything, and you might have to stop me. I can keep on going for an hour about parks, how
I think you're in good company with that, because I think all of us are parks advocates. And I think it's important for people to realize that while we are talking about this at an international level, this matters a lot at a local level. And when we came up with the idea around the Dallas International District, we did a ton of research with the local community residents and business owners to really think about what they wanted in their future park. And so this is international, but it is also hyper local as well. So I'm so glad you mentioned that statistic, because within just a little bit of shift with having that green space, it could have a huge just quality of life advantage for those people who live near the Galleria.
Yeah, Suzanne, it's also an opportunity for the city to put a significant project asset in North Dallas that doesn't currently exist. I mean, I never like to focus on the differences between North Dallas and South Dallas, but this is an area that's been community development qualified. So it has a lot of low-income housing, a lot of immigrant communities, is an area that is woefully underparked, and would continue to be so because the purchase of land in North Dallas has always been deemed too expensive. And although the park department has recognized that for decades, there's been an unwillingness to spend the money to buy parks. And now, because this is so unique and provides an opportunity that hasn't existed, that perspective has changed.
Yeah, in fact,
Yeah.
I'll just add one more thing so we all weigh in on the important, you really hit on the hot spot, Arun, right, when you spoke, and that is that, you know, our city and our city council is entirely and completely and unanimously committed to equity. And this is an equity issue in terms of parks. We worked so hard in building up Southern Dallas, and rightly so, as we should, for economic equity and housing and things like that. And here, what's missing in the north, this is a park desert, just like we talk about food deserts in the south. And so it's imperative that our city walk its talk in terms of equity in this area. And so I am very excited to be able to work with my colleagues to be able to accomplish that goal as well, so that it is geographically equitable as well.
Well, I'm going to weigh in too, because I think this is, I love parks, but I also, because I was on the Arts and Culture Commission, it's equally important to me that parks works hand in hand with arts and culture.
Yes.
And some of our best public art, some of our best opportunities to showcase the wider range of art that we have, from dance to you know, our sculptures, is in our parks, so that people can see them. You know, they're not locked behind some door somewhere, but they're actually among us in our parks. And this is also, and I know, Jaynie, you know this, is a cultural desert. So arts and culture desert. So this upcoming park, and I encourage folks to go online and take a look at all the features in the ultimate 20-acre park, includes a lot of fixtures that I think will also elevate arts and culture in the area as well. So I'm also very excited about that. So another quick round robin. I know a number of us love traveling internationally. So our theme of the Dallas International District is connecting the world to Dallas, sharing Dallas with the world. What is something you've experienced in another country and you hope to bring to the Dallas International Commons?
You want me to start here? Okay, so I'm most excited in some ways about the potential of food halls and being able to travel the world with food in one place. What I hope is that we will create, that some developer will step forward, and when you're ready, let me know, because I will help you to the end of time, create a food hall that will be the opportunity to be an incubator for potential entrepreneurs who want to test their ability to be in the food space. So that, imagine if you could literally go into a food hall like Spitalfields in London, where you could travel the world and try different booths. And then if they're successful, they could move on to Alpha Road and have a small brick and mortar. And then if they're successful, they could go into the Galleria or into what's going to be the Midtown development, all of those within the International District, and really build up the opportunity for people to be successful as immigrants into Dallas, and be a global food marketplace.
You're
love
making
that.
me hungry, Jaynie.
I was just going to say, she's making me hungry. That is the number one thing whenever I go to a community, I go to their local food market. I love that. And that'd be fantastic from a tourism perspective.
Yes.
So Lois, you're next. What would be your top thing that you'd want
so
to bring in?
What I think of is the beauty of a place like the Tuileries in Paris, and the adjacency, if you will, of a completely total urban environment.
Right, beautiful.
Surrounded by residential buildings, hotels, retail, museums, and full of people of all ages, all colors, all economic backgrounds, pushing strollers, walking dogs, on wheelchairs, on scooters, safe scooters.
I was going to say.
And I see that as part of my vision for the International Commons.
All right, Arun, what about you? What do you want to bring to Dallas?
Yes, Suzanne, I've been fortunate through my work to travel more than 50 countries and nearly every continent except one. And really, there are some unique places. We have one in Seattle, but it's called Asian District rather than the
Yes.
Asian International District. Jaynie was just mentioning about the San Diego one which I love, and the way the city itself is going is Dubai. It was a desert, and how they created this world island, which is replicating. They have a little replica of every country in there. I know that's too ambitious to be there, but I really want to take best practices from nearly everything we have discussed and create our own unique international district. We'll have a 20-acre park, but I still want to make it feel like a small community park rather than a gigantic park. So I really feel, I think where Dallas is and the talent we have, we can create something unique by taking best practices from all over the universe.
Love it. Absolutely.
Can I add one thing? We have just completed a kind of an update of a plan that we did a number of years ago for the park, directed by a company called MIG on the West Coast. And if you look at their concept drawings for the park, it indeed, in spite of the fact that it's 20 acres, is broken down into many little separate entities, each one of which will have its own personality.
Exactly, Lois.
So I think that's exactly what you were speaking to. This is not 20 acres expanse of lawn or ball fields. It's pockets of uniqueness that people can take advantage of however they choose to.
Lois,
love that.
Nothing like it.
my idea. Louise, I thought that was my idea. You stole the thunder.
It can be everybody's idea. We'll all own it.
The good
I
news
would
is
say
we're on the same page.
I would say the same thing. I'm really excited about the water garden. I think that to me, that's going to add kind of a tranquil moment in the space. And so there's lots of different elements that I think the park is doing, but I think the water garden is going to be one of those places where it'll be tranquil. And I can already start seeing, people for their prom photos and quinceañeras taking pictures at this water garden and creating that Instagrammable moment and that memory in an important place. So I'm looking forward to that. So Lois, that was actually a good segue around the MIG plan, which is on the Dallas International District website. If folks want to take a peek at it, you've been involved for parks for decades and really are a local park expert and have a deep history. What do you think makes this park unique among all the other parks that we have in the North Texas area?
Oh gosh, I think we've talked a lot about the characteristics of this park that are going to make it unique. Its location, its accessibility, the fact that it will be an urban park in the sense that it's going to be surrounded by urban kinds of development, but very well thought out in terms of looking for international kinds of touches, whether it's gates coming in, whether it's the food hall, whether it's what goes on in the water garden. There is a proposed kind of wow factor in the middle of the park that has yet to be defined or designed and won't happen until we start moving things along. I think it's going to function in many different ways. It's going to be a neighborhood park for those who live in the neighborhood. It'll be a park that kids from the school can access when they need to. It indeed will be a tourist attraction. People will come to Dallas, and on the list of things that turns up on TripAdvisor will be the Dallas International District. Because you can go there, you can recreate, you can eat, you can take advantage of all there is to do around the area as well as in the park.
Absolutely.
So,
Good.
and
I love that.
it's a big vision and it will take us a while to implement it. But it's also the kind of thing that if we don't start now, we will lose the opportunity and it won't happen.
Yeah, no, it's very true. There is some urgency around that. And I know that Jaynie, you've actually moved into the Prism Center. And so your district office is there. And so we've made our first park purchase. So we've got progress already on the park. So tell us a little bit about what is next and what citizens can kind of expect moving forward.
Well, for the Prism Center itself, the Prism Center for now is the place-based home for the theme of the district. In other words, we're hoping that businesses and people from all over the world will come and gather and celebrate their cultures through our markets and other events that we're going to be having around the Prism Center. And as you mentioned, we also opened a district office for people to come and learn and gather as they need. And any community group who wants to use it, more than welcome to contact our office and let us know that you need a place for the for meetings. What's next for the park is for us to be successful in the 2024 bond election so that we can acquire the next 2 parcels. And in addition, we've applied for grants for the 3rd acquisition. And so there's a total of 5 parcels. 1 has been purchased, and then we have these plans for each of the other 4. And that's where we are with it for now. And the International Commons is active, and we've got all the pieces in place. We just need to go.
Absolutely. So yes, we have the imagination, and now we just need to kind of bring it to reality. So speaking of bringing it to reality, Arun, you've got another big job around the bond election. They've heard us talk a bit about it. Can you dive a bit more deeply into what's going to be happening over the next coming months and helping residents understand how they can give input into the future of their city?
And Suzanne, community involvement is key of this process, and that's what actually our job is at the task force, that how do we coalesce all that input we get and then recommend it to mayor and council. So yeah, you touched a very, very important point. Each council district, they are having their town halls. I have visited some of them. There are subcommittees, 5 subcommittees. They are doing their own public outreach. And starting next task force meeting, I have decided that at least half of the time we should be devoting for public input by public coming and giving their viewpoints. And we have created actually at the City of Dallas website, I encourage everyone to go, and they want to express their opinion. They can submit it online or come to one of our many, many town halls, because that involvement will be decided. It is about the citizens of Dallas, and their involvement is very important.
Fantastic. All right, final round robin. This has been a fun panel, and it's been great to get a chance to hear you guys and your visions around this. But what can those people listening and watching do to help make the Dallas International District a reality? What can they do? So Lois, we're going to go to you first.
Well, I would go back to my comments about the Friends of the Commons. I think it's important for everybody to advocate for this project, whether it's at bond town hall meetings, whether it's in conversations with council members, park board members, city staff, so that it's clear that the public understands what's going on and wants this to happen, because it's a big bite of the apple. I think as far as supporting the Friends, if people go to the website, they can join our email list, become aware of activities and events, and come and attend and have fun. And then bottom line is, please write a check. The Friends of the Commons is raising money in order to make this park a reality and to partner with the city. I mean, the city is a major player in the reality of this happening. So write a check for whatever level. We appreciate and are glad to have anybody participate at whatever they're comfortable with.
Fantastic. And I think right now, because of the past bond, it's a 2-for-1 match. So for every $1 that they donate,
right,
it actually is $2 in our future plans. And so
Thank
it's a
you for reminding
great, opportunity to multiply your money, particularly right now. So Arun, you're up next. What can people do to make Dallas International District a reality?
Well, we have talked, we are becoming a global city. There are so many ethnic organizations. I urge all of them to get involved, treat the Dallas International District as their anchor. If I take within Indian community, there are at least 15 different organizations, or if not more. There is Chinese Cultural Association, Korean, Ethiopian. Please treat this Dallas International District as your anchor. Be part of it. Show, our pride as I'm an immigrant, that, how this city is so global, and get involved. Yeah, this is going to be where we all are going to be proud of.
Fantastic. All right, Councilmember Schultz, final thoughts.
Thank you. I think the most important thing that people can do right now is believe that we can become a place where everyone in the region can feel welcome and that their culture can be reflected, even if they just show up. Be like Ted Lasso, and we can make this happen. I know we can. The second is to actually act on that belief by securing the funds in the bond program. So even if you're just giving $1, if we can show the bond task force and the bond, the council that'll be voting, that we have tens of thousands of people who've said that they believe in Friends of the Commons and in this park, I think it would be a huge step forward in getting them to believe as much as you all do. Our city has the opportunity to do something so exciting and so optimistic, and we need it in this time. And so this is the way to do that, is through believing in the international district, that it can be this vision that we hope.
Right, fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today in this panel. I can't think of a better group of individuals to kind of kick things off. You guys have really been the leading thinkers and the doers behind this. And so on behalf of Dallas residents, just thank you for the amount of time and volunteer energy you've put into this. It's really meaningful. I can't wait to see what's going to be happening in 2, 3, 4 years, and it's going to continue over time. I encourage listeners to go to DallasInternationalDistrict.com, take a look at more of the details that was suggested today. Feel free to donate if you're inclined. And then, of course, send us additional questions so that we can continue these forward. We're going to continue to have these over the summer months. You'll be able to listen to them in your car like a podcast, or you can listen to them over Zoom if you want to actually see our faces while we're actually giving the responses. So again, thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to taking the Dallas International District to the next level.